Hey, good morning, everybody. Stephen Michael Miller here. And this morning, for our morning momentum, we're going to be talking about getting outside of your comfort zone. And, let's just kind of jump right in. What does it mean to get outside of your comfort zone? But I guess before we even go to what it means to get outside of your comfort zone, we need to understand what our comfort zone is. We have to kind of define these boundaries of our comfort zone. And your comfort zone really is it's all of your different experiences put together, all of your past, all of your decisions. It's all of these different things kind of put together into this space that is where you find yourself, where you're most comfortable, right? It's the things that you're used to. It's your habits. It's the places that you typically go. It's how you normally do business. It's how you show up and act in a relationship. It's your health habits, right? These are the things that are currently inside of your comfort zone. And it's interesting to me because as I've had conversations with people all across the world, and as we talk about this idea about your comfort zone and why people, I guess my biggest question is, if it's so comfortable, if we call it a comfort zone, then why do most people want to get outside of their comfort zone? If it's so comfortable, why do we want to leave it? Why do we complain so much about our comfort zone? I mean, you understand what I'm saying here, right? So many people, and myself included, I've done this before, where I'll be in a certain situation in life, I'll be acting a certain way or doing certain things, and I'll say to myself, man, I really don't like this. I don't like my current situation. I don't like where I am. I'd like to change it. I want to change my current comfort zone or what I'm currently doing. And the reason for that is because as human beings, we always have this desire to grow and improve. This is one of those things that it's tied into our DNA as a human being, is this desire for expansion, progression, and growth. We constantly want to do that. It's this mind. It's almost like this nagging little thing that always is there saying you can do better, you can improve, you can do a little bit more. And we take on more, and we take on better things at times, and we try to grow and expand that comfort zone. The problem is because this is where we're comfortable, like this little space, right? Because this is where we're comfortable, we every time we try to expand this, or every time we try to move past that kind of that comfort zone, we're met with resistance. So every time we try to move past this comfort zone, this little kind of imaginary force field, as it were, right? We're met with resistance. So we try to go out, and this resistance comes and says, "Get back into the comfort zone." And we try to come out and blast out of that again, and we're hit with that resistance one more time. Get back into that comfort zone. It's interesting because our brains are actually wired to protect us. Our brains are wired to help and to protect us from pain and sorrow and anguish and making the same mistakes more than once. Like, that's what they're wired for. It's kind of that survival mode. So because our brains are wired that way, whenever we get outside of our comfort zone, we start to experience something that's maybe better but different and hard, and maybe a little difficult, maybe trying kind of experience. Our brain says, now hold on a second, do you really want to do this? And your brain begins to actually bring into your mind all sorts of different experiences where you tried to get outside of your comfort zone and you failed, where you went outside of what was known, what was normal, and that resistance came and pushed you right back into that comfort zone, right? Your brain will start to actually recall all of these things, bring all of these things back into your memory. And oftentimes that causes us to pause and say, okay, yeah, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to grow? Do I really want to expand? Do I really want to, navigate these unknown waters? Because there's danger out there. When you're going out into unknown waters, there's always going to be danger. But the other reality, and I think most people, everyone knows this subconsciously. I think there's a lot of people that don't really think about this on a day-to-day basis. But in order to get anything that you want that's different than what you currently have, you have to be willing to do different things. Like, you have to. Otherwise, that different thing, because, difference, anything that's different lies is an outlier. It lies outside of this comfort zone somewhere, right? Anything that's different is an outlier. It lies out here somewhere. So in order to achieve that different thing, we have to get outside of the comfort zone, experience the discomfort, then grab it and continue on. You know, as a when I was 16 years old, actually when I was about 12 years old, I began to exercise. I began to work out. I love to go to the gym and it was kind of one of those things that, I grew up in I didn't look great on paper, I'll just put it that way. And so I had to do all that I could to make the most out of what I had in that situation. I remember one of the things that I really kind of gravitated towards was weightlifting. And I at 12 years old, I started weightlifting with some of my friends. And I grew very, very quickly with my weightlifting. I remember I got to the point where I started to enjoy the pain. If that's maybe that sounds strange, right? But I got to a point where I actually started to begin the pain of what I was experiencing as I was lifting weights because, and we've talked about this before, but you know that as you lift weights, as you put on that resistance to your muscles will tear, right? You're putting more and more weight on them, and as you get to a certain point, right, where you're getting outside of your comfort zone, your muscles will tear, and in that tearing, obviously there's pain, and then they'll grow back together. And if you keep doing that, they'll tear, and they'll do this many times, right? Every time you get outside of that comfort zone in that physical aspect, your muscles will literally tear apart and then grow back together. And as they grow back together, they grow back together a little stronger, and then a little stronger. And this is how muscle growth happens, right? Well, that's not different from any growth that we experience. That's not different from any type of growth, whether it's health or wealth or relational or intellectual or emotional growth, any kind of growth that we want to experience in life. It's going to require that we meet with resistance, that we overcome that resistance, we stay out in that zone of discomfort long enough until that becomes our new norm. That becomes our new comfort zone, right? Our comfort zone is now expanded. And if we can then get outside of that again, right, and experience that again, then this is where we really begin to grow as a person because we allow ourselves to get outside of that comfort zone long enough to where we expand, where it becomes it becomes part of our new experience or part of our new comfort zone. And this is hard to do sometimes because out there outside of the comfort zone is where we are meeting all this opposition. If you've ever been part of sales, if you've ever done any kind of sales work or anything like that, or grown a business, been an entrepreneur, then you realize that where the real growth happens is where you're usually meeting the most resistance. And that's oftentimes a place of focus. That's a place where it's good to put a lot of time and energy in those areas because that's where you're getting the most resistance. If you can overcome that resistance, that then begins to become your new norm. I remember when I first started to speak publicly. I had grown up in church, speaking here and there as a kid, and in our primary classes and different things like that. But I remember the first time. Well, before that, I even traveled to Germany and did a lot of speaking. I talked to a lot of people in Germany. But I remember when I got home and kind of got into the business world, and I was building a real estate company with a couple of friends of mine. And I remember we had started our marketing strategies to do different things and to bring different people in. And this one of our very, very first events, I was going to be introducing one of my friends. And I wasn't like the main speaker. I was just going to be introducing one of my friends. And I remember he typed up this bio for me, and I was supposed to like memorize it. And I had known this guy for many years, for several years, and so I thought, I can do this. So I went through the bio, and I thought I had committed the gist of it to memory or whatever. And I remember the first event that we probably had 100 people or so in the room. It wasn't huge, but it was a really good size audience for our first one. And I was standing up there, and I remember my knees started to shake. And I'm not really typically, even at that point, I wasn't typically, I wasn't very, I didn't have a lot of fear in front of people. I didn't have a lot of fear speaking, but I remember I'm standing there, and my knees start to kind of shake, and they're like almost knocking into each other. And my voice was, I was like talking like this, at least that's what I felt like it was. It probably wasn't that bad, but it was bad enough. I remember I got up and I did this little intro. It was like literally maybe a minute long intro or something like that. And after we were done with the entire meeting, we met back together, me and the couple of friends of mine, and we were kind of doing an evaluation over the event. And they both looked at me. I don't remember the exact words, but they both basically looked at me and said, "Steven, that was horrible. Like that was not good." And I looked at them and I said, "Yeah, I know, and I've got to do it again." See, as a kid, I got to this point where I understood that discomfort is part of the growth process. That discomfort is part of what we have to experience in order for us to actually get past get past being in that limited comfort zone. For me to grow my skills that I wanted and the talents that I wanted, I had to get outside of that comfort zone, and I had to stay in that discomfort long enough to where it started to become better for me, or the new comfort zone. And so I said, I know I've got to do it again. So I did it again and again and again and again. And I don't remember exactly when the turning point was, but I did it hundreds of times. I started to present not just to um, do the intros and things like that, but I started to present for our company and started to travel all around the nation presenting for our company. Then I started to present in different parts of the world, and then I began to do different projects and present different things. Not just the real estate. I got into personal development. I got into internet. I've now been able to speak on cryptocurrencies and different things all across the world, and it's because I stayed in that area of discomfort long enough to where I got more and more comfortable with it. And I'm at a place in my life now where because I've worked on this so much, my comfort zone in the realm of speaking has gone from, maybe where it started, maybe it was here, then it grew. And I became a little bit more comfortable, got a little bit better at it. Then it grew again, and I got a little bit more comfortable in that area of discomfort, and I got better at it. My comfort zone has grown and grown and grown, and I love speaking. I love speaking about a variety of different topics, and it really is something that drives me, and it's part of my passion and motivation. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this YouTube channel was to share not only the things that I've learned, but it's an outlet for me. It's something that I love to do. It's really it's a joy for me, and it brings joy into my life. But that grew into that. It didn't start out that way. I haven't always been this comfortable with speaking to people on a variety of different topics. It's something that I had to work at really, really hard, and I still have great work to do because that comfort zone can always continue to expand. That's the neat thing about it. As human beings, we don't have to ever stay in any comfort zone, no matter how you look at it, no matter how big or small that comfort zone may be. You always have the ability to go to that very next step, that next level, to expand and grow, to improve yourself. And so, really, getting outside of your comfort zone is just that. It's just being able to get out of the norm, get out of that area of comfort, get out of everything that you know to create something better, to add to it. Because you understand and you see this, right? When you get outside of your comfort zone and when your comfort zone expands, you don't get rid of all that stuff that was in there. Like, you don't throw out your old comfort zone. No, you just add to it. It just gets a little bit bigger and a little bit better every time you're able to grow that comfort zone. Every time you're able to get outside of that comfort zone, it aids and helps you in your progression, which means a couple things, which means you begin to achieve those things that you really want even faster. You begin to get smarter and better and stronger, and you speak more kindly, maybe in your relationships. You make better health choices. All these different things add to who you are, and it adds to your experience, which starts to accelerate your growth and your success. So my challenge for everyone here today is to find one way, just one way, to get outside of your comfort zone. Find one way to get outside of your comfort zone and stay out there long enough so that becomes your new norm. So that discomfort eventually becomes comfort, and that's where you're going to find the most success. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day and an awesome week. We'll talk to you later.